Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 31st epi- third, no, 31st, 31st,
31.
31st, 31st episode of the ArtaCast. I apologize for my English. And the first episode after the first weekend of Lorcana Set 8 metagame. Well, after the release of Set 8 and the first tournaments already happened, and maybe we got some new insights and some. We had both a great weekend, a great Locana weekend. We want to talk about, and we talk about the meta as always, and excited for that. LD, I just straight up ask you, how was your weekend? You were in the how's it called? No, not
uh, UK Games Expo.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
so I've never been to a UK Games Expo before, so I didn't really know what to expect, but it's huge.
It's a board
Really,
game. It's a
really
it's
big.
it's it's a board game
Yeah,
thing, right?
it's a
Yeah.
board game expo primarily, but they have tournaments for like most TCGs, most major TCGs and stuff. So, yeah, there were like I think they get close to 40,000 people there over the course of the weekend. So this thing is big, big. Um, But the tournament section is like quite nice and it's not too different to any other big event you've been at, right? Like it's not a huge number of people swarming that area. But yeah, big event. Very, very fun. I had a really, really amazing time hanging out with a load of nice people. Played in the sealed event on the Friday, and that was like pretty good. I bubbled out of that. It was like the meaningful prizing was for the top 16. I was sat at table 4 on the last round, and because there's no top cut, it was purely Swiss. I decided to make my opponent play it out in the last round, and I got 0-2'd into 17.
Oh,
so
sad.
yeah, I made a misstep there, and then on the Saturday it was set 7 constructed, and that was a 200 player 8 rounds of 2 game format. So yeah, pretty tight field, but managed to finish top 16 in that as well to get the 25 convention mat, which I was very very happy with. That was kind of the goal. Um,
Nice.
yeah, I think normally like a top 16 in a 200-person field, it's like that is an achievement, but it's not like something you're really shouting from the rooftops. But this was particularly difficult. I thought the field was really stacked, like pretty much. I don't know how many of like top players in the UK and close by I could really name that weren't there. It was sort of like a day one of a DLC minus like the other 1,000 people or something, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that you would expect to see had turned out. They were all there, not because the prizing was amazing. They certainly weren't there because the tournament structure was amazing, but they were there for sheer will to play the game. And yeah, it was great. Real tough field. Obviously, a bunch of rounds of 2 game format, tough to get through, but had a great day. And just yeah, I kind of said this on Twitter a little bit after, but man, I had such a fun time. It was a really nice vibe. It was yeah, loads of people to chat with, and people came up and said nice things about the podcast. So thank you to those people they'll know who they are. Um, but yeah, just loved being back in that environment. Had a great time. Played green purple discard.
Mm-hmm.
As it was set 7. Probably don't want to talk too much about the deck, but it's exactly the same as card for card, identical to what I played my last set champs with, and I played
Mm-hmm.
it with a view to getting some reps in before this tournament. So stuck with it, and yeah, had a great result, and feel very good about that as an archetype going into set 8 now. So yeah, that was a very nice little weekend. How was yours?
Mine was great as well. I played also a sealed, but like my little sealed in our locals. Nothing to talk about that much. But then yesterday there was a 40-man tournament. It was not that big, but my first set A tournament with the tempo list. I showed nearly last week. There's nothing too much I changed. I was very happy. I was top 8. A good friend of mine played the same list, same 60. He made second, so I think it was a good deck. I think it was a good choice. We
Hmm.
talked about it after the tournament. Yeah, it still needs like yeah, maybe when the meta settles, we could see some cards changing or something. But I think this is a good stock list for green purple tempo. I don't think there's so much to need to change. I asked him also after the tournament because he was like he. I will talk about that other deck later, but he was 2-0ing everything except he lost once in Swiss and once in top cut against the same deck 2-0. I will say soon which deck. And I honestly had like a tough day. I had 3 steel songs and 1 blue steel. I mean, it was okay. I came top 8, but I was only 4-2, and it was all a fight. I think it had not the best matchups, but I was for the matchups I got. I was very happy. I think it was a fight. I think, and there was no matchup I really was in particularly happy to face. I would like to have more discard green purple. I felt really confident with, or discard green purple, red blue or red purple. I was like really confident with, and that I didn't face any. There was a lot of steel songs, but no steel song made top 8. That is kind of crazy. Yeah, I think for you listeners, if you see that the podcast, if you play this list like this, I think you will have decent success, and there's nothing to argue about that much. The new cards, we were both had both the same opinion. We were my friend and me that they were great. Pull the lever and the wrong lever. They were so great in all the day. I think you can like play this like really hyper aggressive now, like dumping your hand and then top deck, and there's not much. There's much threatening threats for your opponent to deal with, and many are not able to deal with everything you do there. And yeah, I think it's a good deck. I'm a bit afraid of muses, to be honest, and I could imagine more going forward there will be even more muses, and
Yes.
that's what makes me afraid a bit. Because muses is really what you don't want to see with this deck, and yeah, but yeah, we need to see. I think it's green purple was always like a deck that's better and worse, or at least green purple tempo, better and worse, like depending on how the meta shifts, and
Yeah, totally.
or
Yeah,
how
I
do
think
you
that
see
makes
it?
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you about muses. It's having like a really format warping effect in these early weeks, as far as I can tell, early days and weeks. So I kind of chalk it up to we're still slowly seeing like the impact of very few Sisus around.
Mm-hmm.
So the format was so controlled by Sisu for such a long time,
Mm-hmm.
more so than I think a lot of people ever really recognized.
Mm-hmm.
That actually the transition away from it and for everybody to adapt has taken a long time. And Muses is always going to be like the biggest winner from that because its only weakness was that it was, it's just died immediately to Sisu.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and its other limiting factor was its range of targets, and people didn't play that many good targets because they were also good to Sisu. They also died to Sisu. So in this like largely post Sisu world that we're in now, Muses really shines, and a lot of decks that I've played, like I've not thought about Muses as a card that
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be playing against to the extent that I used to think about. Right, I need to make sure I'm not dead to Sisu, and then my opponent plays a Muses, and I don't stick anything for the whole game, and I go, "Oops, I have
Mm-hmm.
made a
Yeah.
serious error in deck building."
Yeah.
And obviously, with what we're seeing early days, there's a lot of green steel around.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be playing like that. A lot of them are back to maxing out muses because they're trying to pull off
Mm-hmm.
those horizon lines with John and muses. So yeah, it's a rough time for some of these stat lines. They're not they're not quite as good as they should be on paper because you can just run up to this thing that is so good into you.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it needs to be seen. Maybe I want to be like objective and yeah, maybe it will stick and maybe it doesn't. But I think against some matchups, against any red decks and stuff, you still have a really good time with green purple, I think. But it depends. It depends how the meta shifts. Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's quite interesting looking at your list here because even though this does look really soft to muses, the discard version that I've been playing is even softer. Like at least you have goats.
Yeah,
you have something.
I know what
you
you
have
mean.
like,
but you have at
you
least
have
Prince
something.
John's. You have at least Prince John.
True,
Yeah.
true. I have Prince John. Yeah, that's good.
The great fracture happened. I just realized it. But I think it's okay. I think we made our peace with ourselves. Like I made my peace that you how can I say, turned away from me. And you made your peace that I'm too stupid to not play this card.
No, it's not. It's not that anyone is making the wrong choice.
No, yeah. I think both have their honestly, both have their spot. I think.
They do.
Yeah.
I would definitely say so.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'll be back begging at your door in like 3 months' time because there's no way Prince John gets reprinted.
Yeah.
If Prince John gets reprinted, something has gone very, very wrong.
I think,
and once that happens, I'll be back. I'm trying to keep like 1 foot in the tempo camp so that I don't fully lock in to discard and forget how to play without Prince John because, man, we are in the twilight of Prince John's career. We've got to be. This card is horribly toxic, and it's like it keeps being part of these ban conversations, and I think it's kind of like always been close to the line, but not really something to ban. But like, it's definitely in the do not reprint conversation, right? It's much softer than a banning.
For the community's sake, please don't reprint it. I think there's no card worse reprint than Prince John. I think just not for the power level of the card, but for the health of the community, for the health of the game, for less toxicness, and I think so too.
There's a few cards which are a bit like that, and I'm going off on a bit of a tangent while we're on it, but there are some things that are like they are fine, they're balanced, but Prince John isn't one of them. But there are a few things that like I really hope aren't reprinted just for the sake of diversity in the game. Like I want the play lines to change. I'm not sure how long.
Yeah,
I
have something.
Cards.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I have to something about that later because I'm a bit concerned, but maybe we talk about that later.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Nice.
Because I have a lot to say about that. The next thing. Oh my gosh. I tell you, I experienced in the tournament. How do I start? First of all, probably you can go AFK because you are annoyed already because I hyped that thing too much up. First of all, I show you now a deck list here. You see it now? I want to make a short shout out first of all to Max. Max is a player who's already in this release tournament at the Battle Bear. That's every set, and he always shows up with a complete wild deck, and every time making top cut with it. He's a mastermind of Lorcana, trust me, and he plays it crazy good every deck. He played set 3. He played a Perdita red yellow, made top 4, lost very close against me. Then he played set 6 blue green before anyone else did play it with this Bend to My Will. In the release tournament, he played a refined list with it. I don't know how he does that. He doesn't play online or something at all. Yesterday, I told him when I saw his deck and how he played it, I just told him, Max, I don't understand you. You know, I have to test to find things out, and you just have to think. You know, you just have to think. And I because I played round I will explain it soon what this deck does, because if you see this, you probably don't understand it, or maybe just a bit. But I played round 3 against him. I got totally crushed. And the funny thing was, I played cards like turn 2, I played Ursula, saw his hand, didn't understand anything. And then, and then next turn, he didn't have a character. Next turn, I thought, okay, he has no character. There can be no Fox. I quest with my Ursula. Then he plays set 1 Rafiki and goes over my Ursula and stuff. So what this deck does is, if you see the list, I think every one of you maybe think it's a complete Wildhaufen, and it like is a Wildhaufen. But it's like it makes sense. You have absurd card draw in this deck, absolutely, because you have Comic-Con and Show Me More and friends and stuff. And you, by playing these Comic-Cons and Show Me More, you secure both players have infinite cards in their hand nearly. It's like both players have like always like 10 to 15 cards. And then you play your first Muses. And as soon as you play your first Muses, you basically can't lose the game anymore, because you have like so many songs, and then you draw your whole deck. And I can't explain what this deck. I had not the glimmer of a chance against it, and I knew already when top 8 started, then he would win this. That was very clear to me, because I didn't see anyone being like, you can from time to time go under it a bit, but that's not easy, because you have all these like 4 Rafikis, 4 Royal Guards. He cleared Robin Hoods with that Royal Guard. He like turned 1 Royal Guard, turn 2 he played Comic-Con, turn 3 they shifted Robin Hood. He plays Show Me More. Draw 3, draw 1 with the Comic-Con, Royal Guard kills a Robin Hood, and such stuff. I know that there's many things going on that you will be prepared then. But then, as soon as you have the board advantage, you slam down an Emerald Comic-Con and quest out with everything. And then, I don't know. It was so easy for him. It's so easy with his Muses to get board advantage, and then you just slam an Emerald Comic-Con and the Maleficent stuff, and I don't know. It's so soon. And even then, you could say bend to my Beyond the Horizon is a counter card, but then you still have like 3 cards, and then you have like 2 Amethyst Comic-Cons or something on the board. You draw another 2, and at some point you draw your Clarabelle or your Bend to My Will, and then you come back. And even then, if he chains Pete's, he has Monstro too. Monstro is absolutely nuts in this deck. It's I don't know. And this Lewis,
I was just thinking, he must be able to kill everything with Monstro, because you've got so many cards in your hand.
And this Lewis was also great. Lewis on your Murfolk is so annoying, because you then have to run with it, or I had to like grab my Murfolk to run into the Lewis and stuff. And then it was so hard. And especially I think purple decks, I think it's like, it's not a bad matchup. It's like it goes like to a 70-30% matchup, I think, or even like more. And against some other decks, I think you can go under it. Pete can be a problematic card from time to time, but then you need multiple Petes. You really need multiple Petes, and they, with multiple, I mean at least 3, or most of the time you need all 4. And then, but to be fair, you get a lot of cards, so you have a good chance to have more Petes. But yeah, then I don't know. It's really hard for me to explain it, because I can't explain it to the extent that this deck needs to be explained.
I mean,
yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, I think I get it better than you might assume I do. And you think I'm gonna just tear this to pieces. I played a bunch with like Maleficent Staff last set. There's a green purple Maleficent Staff deck. I tried to various forms of it to make it work, and some of them were like really, really close to being viable. So I completely understand this point of the game you're trying to navigate into, where there are so many cards that the whole like the cards in hand as a resource are just redundant. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
for
it
either
doesn't
player
matter. Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah,
It stops mattering,
yeah,
and so you completely remove that element of
yeah,
the attrition war in a game, and the constraining resource is just ink.
yeah.
And so you get in control of the board, and then you can set up in such a way where whatever your opponent plays, you bounce, whether it's by muses or
Mm-hmm.
Mother Knows Best or something like that. You keep their hand really, really full. Again, the cards continue to not matter, and then they basically can't ever do anything because you just lock them with like this staff and all your bounce stuff. And once you have a Chromicon in play, you're free to just sort of like turn some random dork sideways and it just you completely take off from there. If you dump your hand, like take a load of actions, play like sing a load of things, you can refuel through Clarabelle, that sort of thing, and get your number of cards in hand way under theirs. Yeah, I fully see it because it's pretty much exactly what I tried to make happen in the Mal staff deck, but this is a really different take on it. And I have another observation for you,
Oh,
unless you have anything else you want to say about it.
yeah, yeah, of course.
Like this barely plays any new cards. Like
No, no,
this
no.
is
It is the Royal Guard is insane.
yeah,
The
it's a Royal Guard deck.
the Monstro is insane, really insane in the deck. I
Yeah.
think, and the song. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. The Lewis is great, and
Oh
the
yeah. It's,
um and the new song. He said he could maybe play a two of this new 8 cost song. This
okay. Yeah.
so I think at least a bunch. He said MVP was Royal Guard and Lewis the whole day. Especially
Yeah.
Royal Guard, he said, was absolutely crazy. Like it trades everything, like everything, and
Yeah.
it kills daisies on turn 2 sometimes. It's
Yeah.
it's
That's really
yeah,
that is wild, isn't it? Like I think Royal Guard might need a closer look.
yeah, and even
But this is
like
something.
he plays
Yeah.
against, especially if you play against this card. He played the Comic-Con into a Diablo. He doesn't care, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he really doesn't care. You will never discard him to 0, never. He played against
yeah.
semi-final against Green Purple discard. I don't want to bash Green Purple discard too much, but his opponent says, I don't know how I can win this because I will never discard him, never. Never.
No.
There's no chance. You need one show me
No. I
more.
don't. That's not winnable. It's
Yeah,
not a winnable
it's
game.
not winnable. It's one show me more or
No.
one Comic Con, and you basically can't discard him.
Yeah.
And then you have these muses and stuff, and it's nearly unwinnable. And it was incredible resilient to at least our Aggro strategies because this Rafiki and
Yeah.
Royal Guards stall a lot, and then Lewis as well. And then he played also a one-off. I think he played a one-off of the new Elsa. She's also great in this deck. This new 4-cost Elsa, like for one,
Oh yeah.
discard a
Yeah.
card, exert a character. So for Pete turns, she's great. And yeah, this
Yeah.
Monstro he said is basically for Pete. Like if they Pete and turn everything sideways, and then you need a Monstro.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's yeah. This is.
I don't know
There's
which.
a lot going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably more, and I know I'm sure I'm more hyped on the deck than I should be. But at least the field, and I tested it at home now a bit. There are some matchups that you like. It feels unlosable. It feels unlosable, and against any other matchup on the play, this deck is so crazy good. And then I think that leads to a very good matchup spread at all, or a very good win rate in total. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, but it's of course not a deck for people that just want to pick up a deck and play.
No,
Yeah.
this isn't like a welcome to Lorcana. This is your starter. This is the first deck you hand to someone. They play one game. They're like, I think this might be the worst game in the world. I'll just never play this ever
Yeah,
again.
because even me,
Yeah.
like I was very tired yesterday because we had to get up very early, and I only slept like 3 hours or something. I was very tired the whole day, and I played 2 Drop Ursula. I saw this hand, and I thought I don't give a fuck. No, I don't. I don't know. I just I discard a song. I don't know what's going on in your head. I don't wanna. I don't wanna understand this deck now. I just race you now, and then that's kind of what I did. And if you see Show Me More, 3 cost Clarabelle, and the Rafiki.
Yeah,
No, I didn't see the Rafiki. Otherwise, I would have played around it. But even something else or Maleficent Staff in that hand, I think you just don't. You just give up to understand
yeah,
what this deck is doing. And yeah, I was very impressed, but I think I was mostly impressed because of Max, because Max is, I don't know how he does that. I don't know how he can show up in a new format and with zero testing. Like, he plays a lot of 1 of 2 offs, and I asked him about it, and it makes sense a bit because you have like 15 cards in your hand. Why should you play a lot of 4 offs? If you have more 1 and 2 offs, you have a lot more options. If you like have always like 10 or 15 cards in your hand, that makes no sense to play only 4 offs, and makes sense to me. The important cards are 4 offs, and I think I would still want to play 4 Ursula 2-drop and
yeah,
some cards, but I understand why he doesn't, because you won't rip the song that you want, because they will probably have multiple of this of the, like, you play Ursula, they have 6 songs in hand most of the time, and then you discard one and think, okay, nice, and now but the Beyond the Horizon can be a bit problematic. But
yes. I was going to say that. I would guess that's an issue
yeah,
because
but I was
yeah,
impressed how easy he still won that games, because like they have to exert these characters to sing that, and then you can
mm,
trade up, and you have 3 cards still in hand, and you have 2 Chromicons on board, or 1 or 2, and you like, at some point you will draw your Bend to My Will or your Clarabelle and stuff, and each other card like lets you catch up on board, and it's not easy because all their characters are exerted then, and you can probably trade up, and it still most of the time will last a long time till they can win the game, especially if
mm,
you like top deck a Mother Knows Best or something. It's not that it's that easy, and I was impressed that he won still games when Beyond
yeah, it's
came
very
through.
impressive.
Yeah, so I'm interested in the deck.
Yep,
I want to work on it, and I think
nice.
it's a cool way to shake up the meta, because, as you say, the set 8 is like the final thing, and I think it's cool for me because we have both no not really big tournaments going up, and I think it's
Yeah,
funny
no
to,
DLCs or anything.
yeah, so it's funny to work on some cool stuff. And I don't want to
Yeah,
start like playing Prince Johns, because then I can blame you forever for playing them, and I was resilient enough.
that's fine. I'd expect nothing less.
No, yeah. Shout out to Max. Great showing, and yeah, was impressed.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
want to make a I played 1 round in the Swiss against Red Green, against your list, nearly your list,
Oh yeah.
and want to make a. I have to say greetings from him, because he got the list from you, and
Oh, nice.
and it was a close game, honestly.
The
He
deck's pretty
discarded,
good.
yeah, he discarded me very much, and then slammed the shark, and yeah, it's like, was close one. It was really close. It was impressively good,
Yeah.
really aggressively discarding me. It was really
Yep.
aggressively, like this undermines and stuff, and then wow, it can discard a lot, and yeah, not. I think it's not.
Yeah.
It's not if you like decent. If you have a decent draw and you have Prince John on turn 3, it's like, I don't think there's many decks that completely easily crush that. Yeah.
No. And it's interesting the point you make about like aggressively discarding with red green. It's way more possible with that deck than some of the others because actually like the number of cards that discard your
Mm-hmm.
opponent in these discard decks is actually quite low a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's for decks that are called discard, that far fewer deck cards actually say the word discard on them
Yeah.
than you would probably expect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a bit higher in red green because you get to play all your sudden chills, you get to play your undermines as well, and it's the 4 undermines really push that higher, and that extra ratio of discard effects means that you don't always have to focus on just like you typically set up like a combo turn with discard, right? You're not looking to sudden chill them on turn 2 and discard them from 5 cards to 4 or something. You try to empty their hand at one time so that it catches them off guard, and the decisions become much harder. But in red green, you can do it a lot more aggressively. You can take an undermine on turn 2 and then take a trade up with a 1-drop if you want to, and then just start applying that pressure earlier to help you reach that combo turn earlier. So yeah, it's slightly different. The math changes a bit, and it enables you to play in a bit of a different way. I still think the deck's really cool, but yeah, shout out to that guy for playing it. It's a cool one.
Yeah. Sorry, but I interrupted you. You wanted to.
Yeah, I've got to. Now I'm going to throw another clunky deck at you. Except I really, really enjoy this. Yeah, hopefully we'll bring it up and you can have a look at it. I've been testing. I'm just opening it up on my side. Monstro combo. So Amber, Amethyst, Monstro, Donald Duck. And I really, really enjoy this deck. Like, this is a lot of fun, and so much better than it kind of sounds. It plays a lot better than when you describe the combo to someone, like they stop listening halfway through. And that's what actually happened to me this weekend. I was talking with Moyen at the event, and he was talking about this deck that he'd played with a coaching student of his. And like somewhere halfway through him describing what the deck does, I just stopped listening to him and started staring off into space. and then he was quite insistent that it was good. So I went back and listened more, and then then I started playing it, and I'm not too sure what to say about this other than I think it's probably more viable than people would expect. So for anyone that doesn't understand,
shall I tell you what beat me out of the tournament on Sunday?
Yeah.
It was a Monstro.
What was it? Yes.
2-0'd me.
You get 2-0 by Monstro.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your deck has like exactly 1 out to Monstro, right? Which is wrong lever.
He didn't need the combo at all. He like outvalued me with rabbits and Tiagos and stuff, and
okay.
Had a really good early game, and my draw was not that good, to be honest. I think it's not a really bad matchup. But he was very, especially rabbits were really, really, really bad. Like rabbits and Diagos killed me. But yeah, sorry. Yeah. Just to want to emphasize how good this deck is, like to just support you.
Yeah. So it's like a very, very fair, grindy Amber Amethyst deck. You just play small stuff that redraws. You have a bunch of lanterns, and the version that I've shared with you was my first draft. I've made a couple of tweaks now, but I will only sort of share the stuff I'm fully happy with. This was a fine first version, but I'm already in the process of making tweaks. I think Lantern is like an absolutely essential card in the deck for getting you up to that 8 that you need to start playing the Monstros and Donalds. But there are a few question marks here. So I'll run through the combo really quickly for anyone that hasn't come across it. The way that you actually like end the game with a combo is you need to play a Monstro and then have it live for 1 turn so that it's ready for you to start exerting. The turn after you've played Monstro, like that's the only like point of failure. That's the only point where it can go wrong, is that you play your Monstro and it has to live until the next turn. That's your opponent's chance to interact with your combo, which for some decks is way easier than others. Some like straight up don't have a way to kill Monstro; they just lose. After you've done that and your Monstro has survived, you play Donald Duck Coin Collector, and this is going to give your Monstro as well as your other characters the ability to exert to draw a card. So then you've got a Monstro that exerts to draw a card, and you can discard a card to unexert it. So those two abilities in conjunction with each other mean that you can just draw through your entire deck. You draw down until there are no cards left in your deck, and in your hand you leave 2 copies of We Know the Way. And the first We Know the Way, which you can, again, sing with this Monstro, so there's really no ink pressure here. The first one targets an Alan-a-Dale in your discard to put the Alan-a-Dale into play if you didn't already have one in play. So again, not part of the setup because you can do it straight from the discard. And then from there on out, every song you play is going to gain you a lore. Your second We Know, and you have no cards in your deck. Your second We Know the Way targets the first copy of We Know the Way, and that starts an infinite loop where you just shuffle back We Know the Ways to replay We Know the Ways for free on themselves, generating infinite lore because each one generates a lore off your Alan-a-Dale. And that's the way that that's the combo that the deck can win with. The reason, so when you explain that to people, the natural reaction is that sounds like the worst deck in the world. And it's because it's so easy to pull off in practice. Like, I think it's kind of deceiving a lot of people. It's like deceptively viable, I think. You just jam the deck full of like stuff that trades really well, and you can completely focus on controlling the board until you play a Monstro and just have that Monstro live. Often, if you just play a fair like trading up game, play your Iagos with your pans and stuff like that, do all of your regular fair Amber Amethyst stuff, you can just win the game through fair play, in a lot of occasions, and then randomly have this combo victory that you're not all in on, but your deck still has complete access to. The numbers will take some working out. This is going to be a complex deck to refine and perfect, but the basic concept that I've started out with and it's been promising is just entirely focus on controlling the board early. You have all of your available anti-aggro tools, just a bunch of crabs, foxes, things that redraw, and then try to find a good Rapunzel to fill up on cards where you can, and pan Iago to do pan Iago stuff and get to the point where you can put a Monstro in play and then play a Donald Duck a turn after and win the game. It's been pretty good. I'm having a lot of fun, and it's something I'm going to be working on because, like you say, there's no DLC for us. If you're not a Worlds player, you probably don't have a lot going on in set 8. So, for me, I'm going to take this chance to try and work on something quite fun like this and just see how far we can push it. Because, I think like I say, it's a lot more dangerous and a lot more powerful than a lot of people expect, I think.
Yeah.
And you got to see it. You got to see it in action, obviously.
Do you accept critiques?
Yes, yeah. I'd be interested to know if what you pick up on is stuff I'm already changing.
Because the same answer like you answered me, I have more. I did see this deck a lot more in action that you maybe think, because I think I already saw this deck a lot, and I think it's like very viable. Very viable. Yep. It's like maybe too much, but it's like because the thing is, I thought I was clever. Like, I played against him, and I thought, okay, I know how to do this. I keep a wrong liver in my opening hand. I know how to do this. Yeah, and then he just turn 2 Lantern, turn 3 Iago, turn 4 Rabbit, because you even can't outvalue him. So it was very tricky to, it was tricky. I think, I mean, the Iago, to be fair, are really good against green purple in general. What I think, if this is your first draft, then it's great. I think there's not. I would like the first thing I saw would like the couscous. I would probably want to play brooms, because you like want to play on turn 2 Lantern and then play a 1-drop most of the time. And then I would I know you hate the card, but I really would try rabbits, because even the Monstro gets better with rabbits. The more card you play, the more you even can like clean the board, even with Monstro, not just to play it for the combo, also play it like to clean up the board and be a bit more resilient to discard stuff. And especially rabbit cost me a lot of problems. I also think like the Gastor doesn't bring you much further because you like maybe you can play then the Monstro earlier, but then you can't play the Donald Duck earlier because okay, if the Gastor survives, then you can play the Donald Duck
Yeah.
also earlier, but it most of the time won't get you near to the combo. And yeah, but the rest is, I think this is nearly it's nearly a perfect list for me. Also, I mean the Cuscos could also be sometimes good instead of the brooms. I don't think it's a big difference, but that's what I just experienced. He played like turn 1 drop, turn 2 lantern 1 drop, turn 3 Iago, and then it's like a purple deck, you know. Then it's like it's hard, and you just have to secure your card draw, and I think for mathematical purposes you only need one Allendale. I don't know exactly, but it is an uninkable Allendale then if you draw him early. That's the problem.
Yes, and that's exactly why there's two, there's three,
makes sense,
and the same reason why there's three. We know the ways is that very, very quickly came to realize that if you draw these cards early and you want them in your discard, they are like full. They're the brickiest bricks ever. You
that makes
can't
sense.
do anything with them. So built a bit of failure space into them, so that the first one of each that you ink is not a problem for you ending the game. Yeah, I just want to quickly respond to a couple of the comments you made. Yes. So, like I say, I'll probably update the deck and provide people updates on the cast as I go along. But current work in progress version, the Gaston's gone for the reason that you said. I'm playing genies. They're not rabbits, but there are 4 genies in it.
I didn't say anything.
And I know you like, yep. No need to comment any further on that. There are 4 genies in the deck, and I'm very, very happy. And that's basically it. But the I totally get your point about the Cusco, because you absolutely do want to play a lantern on turn 2. That's what you really, really what you want to do. You don't always do it. And actually, like, if then your curve becomes you're not skipping from 2 to 4 to play like a Iago or a genie, you then are really gonna want like to crab something and trade up probably, because even Fox kind of not ideal in that spot. Takes you lose a bit of board presence. You're looking for the crab trade up, and in that situation, obviously Cusco is a lot better than a broom.
That's true.
Into a lot of different things. So it's kind of just providing that
makes sense
failover for when you don't find a lantern. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But I'm really enjoying this deck. It's it's powerful.
I think it's just don't underestimate the fair stuff this deck can do. I mean, you have 4 rabbits. I mean, at least the decks that I play. I mean, it was like I never played against a deck that had 4 rabbits and 4 Rapunzel. That was really annoying, you know. Like, and then, I mean, Genie will also get you there often. Like, I totally get that. But it was a lot of cards I didn't expect that, and then he could also like just slam a bunch of 1-drops and stuff, and then I don't know. It was. Because that's like the bit of a downside for Merfolks and Flynn and stuff. If your opponent like counter draws that much with no real effort, then it can be sometimes beneficial. They are mainly good against discard decks who have also not very much cards in the hand in the early game, but against this some decks like this, it's like they win the board often, and then it's like tough. Especially Iago. But Iago was my biggest problem, to be honest. But great work. I'm excited for you working on this.
I think within a couple of iterations I should have something really strong. From the off it's felt good, and maybe fun. Even by next week. Exactly, fun. It is a bit of a pain to execute while testing, but
the execution is a bit weird because, like, you need to still do it, because to prove your opponent you still have these key cards in your deck and did not ink them or something. Like,
yeah,
you still need to do it, so you need to execute it, and then the game goes a
yeah.
bit.
And even when you know the exact plan and exactly how the deck like goes off, how the combo goes off, because I've never played an infinite combo deck in Lorcana before, because like all the previous ones have been way harder to pull together than this. I've never run into this issue where like you actually might have you need to remember what you inked the whole time. Like if you there were so many times in test games where I knew I had inked a We Know the Way, but I couldn't recall if I'd inked two, like or one. I just had a memory of inking it, like,
Okay,
and that's a really big
yeah.
problem. And so yeah, if your opponent is playing this and you need them to win, sorry, and you're watching them go off, don't concede until they show you that they can execute the combo properly, because they can mess up, and it's really easy for them to mess up. And if they mess up, they lose the game. They empty their entire deck, and then they don't win on the spot. Pass to you, and you just pass back, and you win. So make them play it out, because
because
yeah,
you also need a lot of cards in your hand. I think like 4 or something to execute it. I don't know.
you need three.
Three.
But
Okay.
but it's a lot more possible than you might think.
No,
One of the
I
things
I
I
get it.
missed
No,
was
but just as an opponent, I think you need to look at your opponent's hand, and if he like wants to, I don't want to say cheat, but if he like says, "Oh, I have the dominant, but it's the last card in his hand," he has not won. Then, if the last
yeah.
card, like if you play against it.
Worth It's worth noting though that you can win with last card Donald, because he also gives all of your other characters exert to draw a card.
Yeah,
So
okay, yeah.
there were so many spots where I have like 1 to 2 cards left, but it wasn't a problem with going off, because like I have like, let's say, like a damaged Elsa and some random dork in play, and they just turn sideways to draw me up to what I need before I go off with Monstro.
Do you know what the weirdest thing in my head is? What
Go
I
ahead.
still don't understand. Uh,
Yeah.
it completely wrecks my knowledge of card games. We discussed about the combo and thought, okay, you need like 3 cards in hand or 4. I don't remember it, but we came to it, and then we thought like, okay, but it doesn't matter, because you still have friends in your deck, and you can accept, instead of like using the effect, you can use friends. But that doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't improve. It doesn't, because and that my brain doesn't get that, because you like.
You go +1 card in hand, right?
Yeah, but you get also one when you exert the
exerting it is +1.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
And I thought it's like, hey, how can you not get +1 card? But you get +1 card because the exert
If you
effect gets
turn
you
it
one.
sideways,
Yeah, you also
you'll
get
still
one
be
+1.
holding the friends. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's it's like, but it was a long time till I understood that you don't. Was like funny. I don't know. It was because like that makes +1 too. That's just the same, because it's the same +1 instead if you're singing friends, or if you exert the character to draw 1. That was funny. Just it's funny beside, because all we know is, okay, if I sing friends I get +1 card, and then but it doesn't work in this case. That was like funny mind game.
It's there's a few like quite mind melting things going on with this deck, but I think it's pretty real.
I think it's at least I mean the player who he was top 8, and he went 5-1 through the Swiss round, only losing to my friend on Green Purple. And it's like threatening, like you don't do nothing in the early game. It's like far away from doing nothing, and then it always is a threat, like to as soon as a Monstro is on the board, like he's ready to randomly win the game for nothing. And then, I think it's of course a viable strategy. Hopefully, it not gets completely disrupted by discard. I could imagine maybe discard decks are maybe problematic a bit.
They are the worst.
Yeah,
They're the worst by far. Yep.
yeah.
Coming up with
That's
some
sad.
slightly different ways to combat that. But yeah,
That's sad. Maybe we need a Magica dispel or something.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'll show you what I had next week.
Okay, nice.
I'll keep you updated.
Nice. I keep you updated too about my green purple. That's so fun for me to work on that. So we have both cool decks to work on. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, like alongside the other things. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still work on green purple. I just want to shortly mention I will release a guide soon for green purple on set 8 because I think green purple will also be like I think it's relatively resilient to rotation. I don't know what will happen, but I think the core of like a tempo version of green purple is still there. We have Gogos, we have Genies, we have Delivers, we have Elsa, we have one cost Diablos. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff, and the rest. I mean, something will come afterwards, I think, and then we can maybe build another. At least the archetype in itself should hopefully be, because this card is an archetype. I could see maybe if Prince John doesn't get a reprint, maybe discard strategies at all maybe won't work. I don't know how you see it.
I had that exact thought on the way home from. I was just walking through the town on the way home from Games Expo, and thought to myself, like, what does discard look like without Prince John? Like, you need something like that kind of effect. It's
hard. It's really hard.
I don't know.
I could see like some like. No, it's at least hard to imagine for me now to see a deck like that. I mean, but it's like it's all very unclear and stuff. I mean, there's so few things that can change up a whole meta. I think. Imagine like Prince John didn't have Ward. I think the whole meta would look different if Prince John wouldn't have Ward, for example. Like small things that could change up the whole meta, I think. And then maybe we can't imagine something and there will be something. So, but if we, like you say, it's tough without Prince John, I think. Not that I'm completely sad about it, but
definitely it'll be difficult without it. Yeah, it's gonna have to change shape a little bit, but yeah, time will tell. We'll see what tools we have.
Yeah. What else did happen in the Lorcana world? We had SSG. Green Steel won that. I don't think we need to look at the list that much. It's pretty basic. I don't want to say basic because big shout out to the winner, but because it was a big tournament with a lot of good people there, so great accomplishment. I think the Green Steel is nearly solved. Is even that early in the format, I think. Or how do you see it?
Yeah, so I think from my point of view, it's basically it's not that it's basically it's not a surprise. So the top 8 of the tournament was full of green steel and amber steel for the most part, and that was the projected outcome for week 1 of the format, was that different versions of Horizon decks were going to shine from the off, and that's kind of what happened. So I think what we were saying last week and even the week before about our kind of level 1 for the format, that has rung true. It seems to be the way things have shaken out. Really, in terms of where the format goes from here, it all depends on the impact that high presence of a really explosive discard deck has on slower stuff like red purple and red blue.
Mm,
So if those decks were really, really squeezed, we could see real change.
yeah.
Yeah,
My impressions.
tough.
My impression is it's just my feeling. I would say, not impression. And I think it's like kind of obvious that I think Green Steel is for me like on an own level. I have to admit to it's the best deck for
Mm,
me. Sadly, I don't enjoy it that much, but I think it has so many tools for everything and has a great proactive game plan that I think it's like on an objective standpoint, I think it's the best deck in the format. And I didn't say that often in the past. That
no.
I think it's meaning something if I say that, because like even because you have, like you said last week, you have still Ursula and Pete, and that's still so many
Mm,
so important things against so many decks. And besides that, you have this great proactive game plan that I think you can't go at least, or I can see at least this. You can't go wrong if you play Green Steel in a tournament,
yeah,
and you won't get
yeah.
crushed by
That's
anything completely. I think, yeah,
that's a really good way to sum it up. It's hard to see it as anything other than high tier one.
yeah,
And I would put it as the best deck right now, because it has, at the very least, one of the best and most explosive proactive game plans in the format
mm-hmm,
right now. There's very few things you could do proactively that are stronger than what this deck can do,
mm-hmm,
and also has access to both of the most important disruptive
mm-hmm.
slash reactive tools in the format. So yeah, it's, and then also there's also like a um I don't know what the right word is. It's like a cannibalization thing, which is that like if the best deck in the if Green Steel is the best deck in the format, Green Steel gets even better somehow because it's also the best thing for combating it. If an explosive song-based proactive plan is the level one of the format, then a deck that has Ursula and Pete in it gets even better when
Mm-hmm.
which is difficult, and creates, yeah, like this sort of vicious cycle, that only it's a vicious cycle that only happens when steel decks are dominant because for whatever reason, steel has the best answers to steel stuff, and it's been an issue forever. But yeah, that's kind of another story. It's really hard to see it anything other than like, tough to say whether you put it on its own tier,
Yeah,
but
yeah. No,
it's
maybe it's not needed to do it at all, but I think it's like for me, it's like the red purple set two thing. Like it's like if you are like, there's so many things that this covers.
mm,
Yeah, I don't know. And at least for my for my green purple stuff, like the green purple, this new deck, and I tested it against all the discard decks. It completely crushes every discard deck except this, because it's like it still has Pete's and Beyond the Horizon and stuff, and I think it's so versatile in comparison, at least to green yellow. I think it's way more versatile. I mean, mainly because of Pete's. Green purple discard is a bit of a different story because, yeah, green purple is a different deck. Green purple discard. It has other advantages in Genie and stuff, and the more consistent shift and stuff. But in comparison to the green yellow, I think mainly Pete for me is so important. Yeah.
yeah, it is
Uh,
totally.
yeah. So that's it. But
Yeah,
if you
so
see the list, it's like everything goes out in the rotation. Complete deck
yeah,
is gone. Complete deck is gone. And like you have Pete,
yeah,
and you have your Shift Pete, and and then you have Beyond the Horizon, and that's it. Especially, I'm interested in like when the new format comes, like the songs.
mm,
Every song is gone. Like Sunchill,
yeah,
Let a Storm Rage on Strength, Let a Storm Rage on and Strength. I would be surprised if both get reprinted. I could imagine one gets reprinted. And then this whole song type archetype, like even Steel Song, if they don't get another really good song for 3, um, this explosiveness gets a lot worse, I
Yeah,
think.
completely falls apart, really.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, and
then it
Storm
gets a
is
high
something
roll.
people.
Then it gets to a high
Yes,
roll. Yeah.
yeah, you've lost your redundancy. Like you have 4 powerful removal songs to sing with your Ursula rather than 8, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like that's like playing Bell and Porpsicle without
Yeah.
your Fortis Spears. You massively, massively change your ratios, and it takes you into this high rolly territory where you have big variance in your games. Um, Yes, it's songs were always going to be problematic design space, and some of those early ones are really, really good. Like if you look at the quality of songs printed across the 8 sets we've got so far, it's just gone down and down and down as I think Ravensburger have slowly come to understand quite how wrong it is for something to be a song.
Mm-hmm.
The types of effects we've seen have just been massively softened. The costs have been increased. Like the most powerful ones in recent memory are things like Bruno and that sort of thing. We're not seeing there's no new Storm coming, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like um I'm still here, that sort of thing. It's real medium stuff that,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, is kind of in the that's the power. If something is going to cost 0 to play, effectively,
Yeah.
it needs to be more in that power range than
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
something like Let the Storm Rage On. The fact that we had a free removal spell that replaces itself is something that I think we will look back on in years to come and think, wow, like that was really a crazy time. You couldn't play any 1-drops into this Cinderella. Like, how was the game like that for so
Yeah.
long?
Yeah.
And yeah, we reflect on that and take that as a lesson learned. But yeah, it's yeah, the decks have the chance to there's a chance they'll completely change shape. And this is I'm having lots of conversations with people about rotation and oh,
Yeah.
what do you think will be good post rotation? And it's completely impossible to say until we know what those reprints are in Fabled, because if I think it's supposed to be something like half the set is going to be reprints. So let's say we're in like the 100 card territory. Well, I could write you a list of 100 cards that if they were reprinted, the game wouldn't change at all. Like there are
100
probably only
cards?
100, probably only like 100 format defining cards in the game, in danger of
No, no,
rotating out.
now I understand. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So first of all, you're only pulling from you're pulling 100 from a pool of like just over 800, right? Like sets 1 through 4.
Um, yeah,
That's like 800-ish cards.
yeah, but the bigger question is how many of these 100 cards need to be reprinted to not change that the meta doesn't change? I think that's the more important question. Like, if
Yeah,
80
that's
of,
what I'm.
yeah, or is that
Yeah,
what you want to explain?
yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is
I
that I think that there aren't too many of them that the impact of these various cards on defining the meta it varies between them. Some of them like hold up entire deck archetypes. Like take something
mm-hmm,
like Rapunzel for example.
mm-hmm,
There's a whole breed of Amber Steel decks that have been pretty much completely propped up by the existence of Rapunzel.
mm-hmm,
All those Diggy type decks can only exist because Rapunzel exists. It's an
mm-hmm,
absolutely mandatory four of. So that card in itself has a massive warping effect on the metagame and kind of dictates what's playable, what's not. And yeah, there are a few things like that on the list that if they come back, the change that we see post rotation might not be as serious as some people expect. Um, you would just see sort of evolutions of the same archetypes, whereas I think a lot of us are kind of hoping that it really gets thrown at the wall
mm-hmm.
and we get a whole new kind of game environment to explore. But I'm really not sure quite how much that will happen. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, for me, not necessarily. Oh, that's a big topic in general. What is skill? What a skill in a card game. What a skill.
Mm,
That's a question you have to ask yourself, because I think there are many different layers of skill. You could say what I like most is, I mean, for me there are two different types of skill in a game. Like,
hmm
um, in it now, no, deck building is another skill. Deck building is a skill, and then it's like when you play it out. Like, I didn't enjoy decks that have, and that seems like weird now to say, but that have lines. Like, you have like this. I think Red Blue is a good example that had like specific lines you always want to hit. Like, I want to go like Tipo into that, and then I play that. If they play that, I play that line. I play that line. I play that line. And I would like to have more of a game like every game is different, and that's why I didn't enjoy the red
mm,
blue deck too much. Like, if you play a purple mirror, every game is nearly different. Even the one drops that played out are different, and that's why I always enjoyed that game more. Like these, if you play these lines exchanging decks, then I think like you can just learn it. You can just
yep.
like learn the deck and know what to do when, and then it's like you can read a book and learn it, and then it's solved. And I think the decks, I did like the deck more than that have this skill of like always need to adapt, and always also what I enjoy the most are mind games in a card game, like making my opponent like think I have a card that I don't have, or the opposite, like making my opponent I don't have a card that I actually have. Like that's the most uh, type of skill I like to have, and that's only executable in a environment that's kind of open and don't have too how can I say, two straightforward lines that you always have to take or you lose the game. And that's mostly if aggro is too dominant that you don't have too much choices in your game.
Mm.
And that's a long, long way to say. But I think if that's executable for me after the rotation, that I'm happy even if it doesn't change too much. I don't know if that was understandable at all, but
No, I get it.
yeah, and that's what I'm really hoping for. For now, I feel like there is, but that's maybe a bit weird to say, but I think there is a bit less way for me to do that than in the past, and I don't know exactly why.
Yep.
Maybe the players got better, and we got a better average play skill, and that's probably one part of it. And maybe just the decks that I enjoy are not, maybe not the best positioned, or like yeah, that's just
No,
my yeah.
I agree because I feel the same, and I can offer you a theory. I can tell you how I feel about it, which is that the decks that we really enjoy and the form of skill expression that both of us seem to enjoy is in shifting gears. It's playing decks which can be very proactive,
Mm-hmm.
but they also have a lot of reactive tools in them, and
Mm-hmm.
they can completely change their tack. And it's cards like Crab, Fox, Kit, these sorts of things, like
Mm-hmm.
these kinds of tools that when you're trying to slow your opponent down, you have options. When your opponent isn't doing anything, you also have very different options. The right line changes every single game, and you're
Mm-hmm.
rewarded for thinking through what that should be and playing cards out in a different way. Um, and that's actually at the start of the game, for the first couple of sets, pretty much every deck did that to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
There was no sort of truly linear thing um, in the way that we've seen. And as the number of sets has increased, the quality of threats has consistently gone up slowly,
Mm-hmm.
while the quality of reactive tools has increased as well, but at a lower pace. So there are some notable cards that are really important, like Elsa, 5 cost Elsa, for example, that's a relatively new addition to the game, even though it's a set 5 card. Um, but the quality of the threats has got so high that at some point, and I can't pinpoint exactly when it happened, but at some point it became possible and viable to play decks which actually can't shift gears. They have linear game plans, and I primarily look at like steel curve out what I would call steel curve out decks. So dock piles,
Mm-hmm.
traditional dock piles, non-purple dock piles, kiwi, diggy, those sorts of things. They quest and they make themselves resilient by having threats that are big and hard to interact with, whether that's just like high willpower or whatever. And then they do their thing, which is either just questing for massive lore and making their stuff hard to banish, or setting Rapunzel traps and gaining so much card draw that you can't keep up with the volume and velocity of threats they deploy. Those decks tilt me like beyond belief. I find them incredibly frustrating,
I
because they're so linear. I
yeah,
can't like
Doc
I can't watch it.
Doc is for
I just I
me.
can't.
Doc is for
Yeah,
me. Like the problem is with Doc, you don't need to to care about hand economy at all. Like it's your
yeah,
goal to empty your hand. Like that's it's so low. I can how can I say so low options to fail. And I think yeah, when we speak
yeah.
about it, there's this new. Maybe we talk about Sky's list. That I think that's
It's
a
a
good
perfect
example.
example.
Yeah,
It's a perfect example.
Sky was Sky is a great Lorcana player. I think if you play since set 3, um, and especially Blue Steel was his baby, and he
Yep.
is considered one of the as a really good player. It got a bit quiet about him because I think he didn't compete that much in big tournaments at all. He was also really big in the Pixelborn times,
Hmm.
and now he shows a list that he thinks is like absolutely busted, and I can see it, but I have to see it. I didn't test this deck at all. Um,
I played it a bit. I played against it a bit too,
and
and it's really good.
yeah,
It's
I can totally
really
see that.
powerful.
And that's why
It's
I think I'm really bad at evaluating cards because
mm,
I saw this lady when it got revealed, and I thought, is this even good? I don't know. You have no cards in your hand when you play her, and I'm just bad, you know. I'm really bad. um,
you're not bad. It's just it's not how your brain isn't wired this way. Like you are not dock brained. If you
yeah,
were a dock
yeah.
brained player, then you look at Lady and you think this is the best card ever printed. And like I did think it was good, because
um,
I'm partially dock brained,
yeah.
um, and I'm
Because
trying to adapt to thinking in that way.
I even thought like even in dock decks I thought like even that deck can still run out of cards then, and but yeah,
Mm,
often it gets you there then, and I don't, especially the Reno is hyped a lot, and I think for good reason.
yeah,
The
it's a
card is
really strong
really
card.
annoying card.
Yeah.
I could even see cards like Rafiki or something coming back just because of this card. And yeah, or like Mosquito Bite. Your Mosquito Bite makes a
All right,
damage.
let's not go too far.
And then he has no resist anymore. Okay, no Mosquito Bite. No, but I think the deck in a whole is like absurd aggressive, like absurd.
Yep.
And he complains about it and says like format is cooked, and
Yeah.
um yeah,
And
and there's
yeah.
no he said even a brain dead player can play this, and like to decent success at least, and yeah.
Yeah, and that therein lies the frustration with these steel curve out decks that I was trying like explaining before, which is that for the most part, these decks are a triumph of deck building.
Mm-hmm.
Their power, the only real skill expression aside from setting and executing a Rapunzel trap is in deck building. There are failure modes where you draw the wrong cards at the wrong time. Um, I throw it's tough because like I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but like I put like Blue Steel Kiwi in this camp as well, and that deck was like a against the odds kind of triumph because it created this it became a pillar of this curve out pseudo archetype when the card quality was like just about there. Like I think the first iteration of Kiwi was amazing because it was just such a different way of playing that other people weren't doing, and it just about pulled the pieces together just enough to get these curve out wins. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, as the card quality is increased, you've got to the point where the stuff like this is playable.
Mm-hmm.
There is next to no skill expression in the
Mm-hmm.
execution. It's unfathomably tilting to play against.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if I'm being completely honest, like I feel like it against like regular Amber Steel sometimes, which is like the deck is its own biggest enemy. When it draws correctly, virtually everything struggles to interact with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just and I like I go to a bad headspace in some of these games where my opponent's just doing everything, and I executed it perfectly, but it happened to be at the weekend. There was one game where like I completely did everything correctly. I played like I'm always thinking about like my opponent's percentage outs, and they need exactly a top deck whole new world. Otherwise, I completely win the game. Then they obviously exactly top deck that, and I just think like, why are you here at a tournament? Like there are casinos nearby. You could go to that. You could go to that casino and
I
have
lost
the
one
same
game too
experience.
yesterday. I lost one game too yesterday to a top deck Carnival. That's really
Yeah, and it's just like okay, in that situation, in that like whatever it is, like a 4% outer, um, you you get there, and otherwise you don't. Um, yeah, it's something I'm trying to really keep a handle on because my experience with this game is so rooted in like the early days when there was so
mm,
much skill expression, and now anyone can pick up a Amber Steel dock list, a Kiwi list, and if they draw the right cards in the right order, even the best players are really tested to their absolute limit to keep up.
yeah,
It's
I
on
think
you to think out of your mind while your opponent is out of their mind. Like they're thinking about
yeah,
what am I having for lunch,
yeah.
and you are thinking like
I
gigantic,
know, I know,
unbelievable calculation.
I know. When I play against this in the tournament, I will just randomly lose a lot of games.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I know, and there's
yeah, and
nothing. Yeah,
it's not like Sky will be insulted to hear that. Like his opinion on it seems to be like this is gross. Why does this exist? Why is like why are linear game plans like this so good now? Like how did we get there?
yeah. The most problematic thing is like that all of this stuff doesn't get rotated out. I think.
Yeah, this is
uh,
terrifyingly resilient to rotation. Like it
yeah.
loses
I mean,
very
Daisy
little.
stays, Reno stays, Doc stays, Lady stays, Winnie stays. Yeah, yeah, the songs.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
Pete stays. Um,
yeah.
mm,
And it's not like this is the kind of shift in the game that would lead to like ban conversations. It's not like there is a single card responsible for this.
uh,
It's the accumulation of card quality, particularly surrounding like well, the culprit at the core of it all is always just Mr. Smee and Doc. Just these two are just always at the center of anything mindless that's turning sideways. And it's
that's right after Prince John for me that I'm happy to. This
yeah,
shits me. I hate him so much. Now
yeah,
that he rotates out. This card I cursed all my Lorcana career.
mm,
Pete as me was. I am so happy that he's gone. Then I always
yeah,
think like I have to play like a two quester that does so way less than yours, me, and you play it on turn two, and you have advantage for no reason, simply for no reason. Like I play Flynn, you play as me, you have advantage for no reason,
yeah,
just no reason.
yeah.
Uh,
I should make it clear just to wrap up the.
yeah,
We've obviously shared some pretty negative feelings on that.
yeah, no, 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 yeah,
I just want to make it really clear that for me, actually, the negativity I feel about it is in is not that I don't think decks like this is a true aggro deck in the truest sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen like Amber Amethyst aggro always hangs out in tier 3 forever because it's kind of terrible and
Mm-hmm.
actually quite easy to beat. But this is a true viable aggro deck within this game. Games need aggro decks to be
Mm-hmm.
balanced. And I don't think that things like this shouldn't exist. My unhappiness with it comes from the separation that I've seen happen over the 2 years of the game, which is that we actually had a trading card game where every deck was packed with skill expression, and if you went this linear, the card quality wasn't there to enable you to just make these decisions where you're never shifting gears. It's like, right, I know what my stuff does. I turn sideways, and occasionally I do some things that protect my things so that when they do turn sideways, they don't die right away. That's about the limit of your decision making, aside
Mm,
from the order you play your cards out in, for the most part. Do you want to disagree?
no. I think the problem is maybe more for me that we I think the power creep is maybe okay for these aggressive decks, but the control decks or the slower decks didn't get anything
Yeah, that's
to
it. Yeah.
compete with that power creep. So like if we get, I don't know, cards like a better Lyle or something, or a Rafiki with 3 health or something. I don't know. We got crazy good aggro cards. Why do we don't? We didn't get any good anti-aggro tools at all. Um, I can't imagine of any in the last sets. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I
none
forgot. No,
really.
no. So there's it's kind of a natural evolution that this then can get out of
Yeah,
hands then. And still a game with, I mean, if you compare to Magic, that we have a lot of heal your heal your heal yourself up. In Lorcana, this Lord Rain is not existent nearly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So maybe yeah, it's just more anti-aggro tools, and this problem is not that crazy, but I could see this can run out of hands very easily. And the problem is with
yeah,
aggressive decks always. Yeah, I think in Locana it got handled a bit because you like have this decision, do I quest or not? Because if I quest, then you can trade it up, and you have this decision still. But if you don't have the decision, that's bad. You should
mm,
always have the decision if I do I quest or do I not quest. Like in every, even in green purple, I should always have a meaningful decision to make if I quest or if
yeah,
I don't quest like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, like I was saying, for me, it's just that my love of the game was born in a era where I think virtually every deck had all of that expression and put that decision making pressure on you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and now the pool is deep enough that some of the decks don't need that, and so it feels frustrating, but only in contrast to me. Like, I don't think that decks like this shouldn't exist. I don't think that there shouldn't be linear
Mm-hmm.
decks that can
Mm-hmm.
help players transition into the game either, because I don't spite a new player for picking up a linear deck that gives them less to worry about while they become accustomed to the game, right? You also need a way in. It shouldn't be the case that I have 8 sets of knowledge. Nobody can ever beat me because they'll never catch up with that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a linear way in. And it's important in TCGs for any player to be able to win on their day as well. And
Mm-hmm.
and proactive decks are a big part of that. So yeah, totally get the need to exist for the health of the game. But as we transition in, it becomes a little harder to.
Yeah.
It tilts me harder in contrast to
Yeah,
the way
yeah,
the
yeah.
game
I
used to
totally
be.
get that.
Basically, that's all it comes down to. Is like I find myself frustrated more than
Mm-hmm.
I used to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I observed at all. That's why I don't use this my friend says the Voldemort way. I don't play
yeah, yeah,
I don't test this way anymore. The Voldemort way. I think you understood what I mean.
yes,
Um, because it tilts me also, and then I don't enjoy. Why should I do it if I don't enjoy it?
mm, yeah.
But you need to test, and then yeah, I
Yep.
totally yeah. It's I just to maybe to sum it up because we are already uh, 1.5 hours nearly. I just today I watched an old video from me. I
Hmm.
got the so happy feelings when I first tested my set 3 green purple on Pixelborn. There was an old video from me on YouTube where I built it on the stream and play tested it, and I was so happy that I found it already on the stream. I said the whole time, "Oh, I love this deck. I love this deck. I love this deck." It was so heartwarming for me to maybe if some of you listeners want to rewatch it, it's in my YouTube channel. Um, it was such a great time, yeah. And maybe we are sometimes a bit nostalgic to the times where
Yeah.
we explored these archetypes and yeah, that was just it feels like it was a different time, and
Yeah.
it is kind of,
It was a long
yeah,
time ago now. Like,
yeah.
like it has actually been long enough that like I'm starting to feel nostalgia for it.
Hmm.
And it was a very special time for both of us as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, that was.
Like it's hard. We have a very similar shared experience where
Mm,
like we've played other trading card games, but this is something we truly love, and that period of realizing like this is different. This is not. I don't feel the way about this game that I have about others. This is. I'm really, really into this, and I want to play it every minute that I can without destroying my life. It's a lot of depth to it, but it's also like on the surface really fun too. Um, yeah, I wonder if there are any old videos on your channel where we played each other, like before
oh
we were
yeah,
friends.
probably
Yeah,
when I
I was
hated you,
yeah,
when I
I was rarely offline, so there's probably some videos.
maybe I saw something like maybe I say something like, "Oh, it's this Lorcana decklist again." Oh my gosh, you always play
I
this
would
aggro
really
pile.
I would really, really love that. I would really love if I
It's
could
so
if
stupid.
there was
He's
some
so
old video
stupid. Yeah.
of you shit talking me on your stream. That would make nothing would make me happier.
Okay. Next week, I really want. We didn't do it last week, and we didn't do it this week. I want to talk about the Worlds format because I think it's a really
Oh
exciting
yeah,
format.
yeah.
But we will do it next week. Then.
Yeah, let's do like a
Um,
lead into Worlds. That'll be fun.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Do you have anything to add?
No, oh, there was one other thing I was gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about Baker's birthday stream? It was yesterday, Sunday, at time of recording.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, I saw it, but I didn't see it, but I saw that it was there. Yeah.
It
You played the
was
Jafar thing, right?
Yeah, but he didn't really tell me everything we were going to be doing. It's he had like full preparation, parties of 4 people. We had face cam and table cam, and then he did full like role playing rules for it. And he voiced every character, and then he tells us like while we're already live on stream, he's like, "And what's your character then? Who are you going to be? Tell me about your character." And I just like I start having like a panic attack at the table, like oh god, what am I going to do? And I just panicked and I just said, I'm 10. I'm 10 years old, and I just was a kid. And then as soon as I said it, I was like, what have I done? I'm now stuck. I'm stuck playing this kid, and I put on this like really thick old British accent for this kid, like he was like some like Oliver Twist type character. It was complete chaos, and but it was really fun. But I have no idea. I'm never gonna go back and watch it because the whole thing I was like in complete panic, free fall. I just was so unprepared for it. But he's doing a condensed video of that on his channel
Oh,
to come up
nice.
this week.
I will watch it.
So for anyone interested, you can go and see that. But just
You
like,
feel you
please
feel
bear in mind
shaken?
how terrible. Yeah, yeah. It's like I was really, really unprepared. I just got home from the expo as well, and I know my technology was failing. It was like everything was.
I
going
think
wrong, but
I think he
the
wants
viewers seem to
that.
have fun.
I think he
Yeah,
wants your unpreparation.
yeah. Well, he definitely did, and
But
he
most of
definitely
the
got
time,
it.
if you think yourself it's cringe, the more cool it is. It's often like that. Even always when my wife says, "Oh, that was cringe," I think no, that was just cute. That's always like that.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
Maybe it was fine,
yeah,
but this people in the stream chat seem to enjoy it. So yeah, there's a video of that coming up. I won't be rewatching it, but
I will.
other people can. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, nice. Yeah, so we are. Yeah, I'm already hyped for next week. Yeah, so I think we can wrap it up, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. All good from me.
yeah. So thanks everyone for watching. Was a long episode again. Till next time, and bye bye.
Bye bye.